What I've done, what I did when I wrote this was I actually, just anecdotally through 20 plus years, I suppose, of learning the reo, teaching the reo, going to all these reo courses and stuff, I just thought to myself, okay, which ones are the most common words that you always think? And then I've used all the exercises in this, and the word list that you learn are based on those words that you'll use. So for example, moke moke, wānanga, riri, ngaro, harikoa, pauri, māku, perehana, tīmata, maringi, haere māraro. Ne? So those are the kind of words, because you will use those. I guarantee you those will be those will be in the 1,000 most common. Ne? So if you think strategically about what words you're going to use and how you're going to put those all together in a sentence, that's one way you can learn the reo.
Because I really
I
really resented learning ahakama. Ahakama na para tawanava, eheke me, because I found it quite hard and I was like, it's not even a word. I'm learning these things and they're not even words. So it is important that you are learning things that you find really relevant.
Make it relevant.
And that whatever is around you. So just quickly, it's important to recognize it's an emotional experience learning the reo. It's a spiritual experience. And yes, of course, it's an intellectual experience. But actually, I find a lot of super intelligent Māori find it quite hard to learn the reo. And part of it is because of how their academic learning has been, what kind of blockages we might have. So you've got to look at what your hang-ups are about learning. That might be, a whole counselling venue, but but what do you hope to be the benefits? What's going to push you through? How's it going to feel if you don't do it? You guys came here, you turned up, that's 80% of the gig. Lots of people didn't turn up today, lots of people thought about it, so you're already, to us, pretty much champions. Which parts of your personality are going to help you? Are you a perfectionist? Are you competitive? Are you stubborn? Which parts are not going to help you? And that doesn't mean that it can't work, because, you can be a perfectionist and also you can not get around to doing things as well. What's the word for that? That word.
Well, you don't like being corrected. You go, I'm going to have to agree to be corrected.
Yes,
while I do
koia.
this.
Yeah.
But because admitting that you don't know is the, it's kind of like the beginnings of growth, I think, is what they say. You have to admit you don't know something before growth can occur. So as long as you're going in with an attitude that, okay, I don't know this language, so me admitting that is going to help me to grow my ability to speak this language. You know what I mean? So making sure you go with that attitude is a big thing.
And obviously this is what Nicole was talking about as well. It's going to be charisma maybe. It's going to be a lifestyle change. And for some of you it will be a subtle change. It will be changing gear in your whānau. For some of you it will be really big. Nō reira, kei te pai rānei tēnā ki a koe, o tira ki tō whānau. So that's something that you've got to think about with your partner and your whānau as well.
As Roger said, do you want to change it in a year, 2 years, or do you want to start in 2 years and change it in 20 years or 30 years, or looking forward to the mokapuna and stuff like that?
Yeah. So Scotty's only going to share this with the groups that he's looking after in the afternoon. See, competitive.
Yeah, we'll look at that when we do plans in our breakout groups and stuff. Because...
Ko pai te wā.
But does anyone have any quick pātai? Like I said, we've been doing the intergenerational language transmission for 10 years, ever since her son Hawaiki was born. And now we've got 3, so they're 9, 7 and 3. And I reckon the 3-year-old's the best speaker out of all of them, actually. I'm just trying to work out why, because maybe it's because she's had the 2 older siblings and she's been exposed to a lot more language in terms of people of her generation talking to her, which has made her such a good speaker.
Yeah, and all those challenges of finding the kohanga, finding the puna, the kura that work for you, it's still way too hard. All of us have to make a compromise in some way, whether it's distance that we travel, whether it's the amount of reo, whether it's the quality of the reo, whether it's cost. We are all making compromises, but all we can do for now is keep on being that whānau that turns up, that helps, that tries to encourage, that brings others in, that supports our kaiako as well, because the biggest thing is our kaiako, the quality of our kaiako, what we pay our kaiako, and then also the tautoko that they get. And also I'd like to say not scrapping amongst ourselves, because we're really awesome at that as well. Me mutu pea tēnā āhuatanga. So choose a school, a puna that works for you, and quite often your puku will tell you which is the right one. And you'll know because of your tamariki. You are the only experts in your own tamariki. But if something doesn't feel right, I just don't feel good about the fact that some people are made to feel bad going into our kohanga, our puna, our kura. You know, hopefully we can get to a stage where people are welcomed. We've got to be on board, we've got to be on the waka, but we shouldn't be made to feel bad in those sort of scenarios, and our choices are still tough.
Yep.
Hoi anō.
And they're 2.1%. Remember what Charisma said? There's only 2.1% of all Māori language speakers, talking Māori to their kids in their homes. So we need to pull that up, and we need to pull it up quickly.
And also some of us, we say we're going to do it, the reality is hard, so just know that it's hard. You know how sometimes when you're cleaning up vomit at 2 o'clock in the morning and you can get this vibe, you go, I feel like there's someone in a neighbourhood near me doing exactly the same thing. So hopefully we can all know that we are all doing the same thing together. We are all struggling hard, even when we have 2 fluent speakers in the home, we know it's hard. Kia kaha tātou me tautoko tātou ia tātou anō, ne?
Pātai anō a koutou? Pātai. Tēnā.
Mo tēnei rā? Yeah. Show us your crack. No.
Nā te mea I pātai koe, mau tēnā.
Hey.
But it is going, we're just working on getting a digital version of that up. So that'll make it a lot easier to access and stuff. So, yeah.
Ka pai?
Pātai anō? Yeah, right.
For whānau with 2 fluent speakers that just get lazy sometimes, any tips?
Kau e mangere? Oh.
1 week might be good.
Yeah.
Have a fight, English.
Yeah. I think that even
That's
though Stacey, we didn't really have a plan, we did talk about it, which is kind of like, I suppose, the beginnings of having not an actual written plan, but we had a conversation about how we wanted to bring the kids up, and we made the commitment to each other that we would stay in the reo 100% of the time whenever the kids were around. Sometimes we might go on date night and flick to English. But
Yeah, no, just when the
generally
kids
we
are
made that commitment, and I suppose you just have to be pono to each other and pono to the kaupapa and just keep that in mind, or keep that in. I think, was it Nicole? Nicole, you were saying, hey, always keep that goal in front of you. And I suppose as long as you've always got that in front of you and you're always focusing on that, hopefully that'll motivate you just to keep on the kaupapa and try and maintain it as much as you can. Because if you've got 2 fluent speakers, you're in a very fortunate position. And your kids are in a fortunate position. And you always got to remember, I mean, I think it probably would have hit us, those of us who have had kids, is that all of a sudden the world doesn't revolve around you anymore. You used to, but now it's sort of like, oh, it's the kids now, they're the main thing. And so you start to think, how can I make this transition good for them, and how can I provide all of these good, positive, fun experiences so that they really embrace the reo and make it their own, and the rewards will come, I think, eventually.
I think step 1, you're here. So already you've changed something. So now you have a commonality about what you're going to talk about, and the fact that you guys have heard these different whakaaro. So you're going to have the same thing to reference. And then you look at what that offers you, and also if you don't follow through, what will the cost be? And there might come a time where it comes crashing down. You know, when you see your kids in a setting and they're floundering and they don't understand when you want them to. Quite often it's really tough because tangihanga are the crunch point for a lot of us. When we get there, I think Roger says that too, that you get there and you go, I should be able to do something here, and you just cry and you don't know why. So I guess that's a motivation. I know that, like whenever we see our kids doing kapahaka or performing a little bit, you get that sense of pride and you get that sense of, okay, maybe we're doing all right. So I think you have to celebrate those little goals along the way. There is probably no point in being like too down on yourself if you falter, but maybe you could give yourselves a star chart as adults. But he tika tau, because we'll do the same. We'll go, kaihea tō urupuku whenua, kare te mohi. Kaihea, aua, I konei, kare konei, I waihoki here. Well, I don't know. So it is true, once, it does flip back to English.
That happens.
Yeah, and the kids will go, "E kōrero pāke koe, papa." You
And
know,
the other thing too is to join in with the support groups, eh? I mean, because you're in Auckland too, eh, bro? Yeah, so we got, jump on the Māori for grown-ups way in, because it's actually quite good having a big support network out there, eh? And then bringing the kids into some of the wānanga that we have, and then you can actually offload them for a little while and sort of focus on yourselves and your own personal development, which helps you keep cool and keep on the kaupapa as you're going through.
And just, although we're not going to go too much into it, you can have time-based ones, like maybe you go certain times of the day, 6:30, kua kōrero te tēnā. So yeah, maybe you have certain times, certain situations, like this is when we go to the zoo and we have, I can send this to anyone who wants it, so when we're at the zoo, we're only going to speak Māori. And then look at the reasons why you don't, like what makes you tired. Like for a lot of us, it's having the headspace to be able to think about the reo. For a lot of us, we're just trying to survive. And so then in order to have that little bit more energy, we're just got to be honest with ourselves and go, I'm just actually really tired and that's why I'm not doing it. So then try to go, okay, even though I'm tired, they're only going to be awake for another hour, and then after the kids go to sleep, we'll speak English and watch the Kardashians, like just go hardcore to the other end. So yeah, try and give yourselves that time at least, or maybe the goal when the tamariki around. Kai te hia kai koutou ne, kua rahi pā tēnā.